The uncertainty surrounding her knowledge is a potent source of anxiety for Aaron and John, a constant reminder that their secret is vulnerable to exposure. Manpreet's character has often been portrayed as perceptive and insightful. She possesses a keen understanding of human behavior, and her medical background has likely honed her ability to read subtle cues and unspoken emotions. It is conceivable that she sensed something amiss, that the unusual activity outside her window triggered her suspicions. Even if she didn't witness the specific details of Aaron and John's actions, her intuition could lead her to question the events of the night. The writers of Emmerdale are masters of suspense, and the introduction of Manpreet into this narrative thread is a classic example of their storytelling technique. Her presence serves as a catalyst, accelerating the narrative and raising the stakes for Aaron and John. It introduces an element of unpredictability, a potential threat that could unravel their carefully constructed web of lies. The implications of Manpreet's potential knowledge are significant. If she suspects foul play, she could become a formidable adversary, driven by her own moral compass and her commitment to justice. Her medical background could provide her with insights into the forensic aspects of the case, allowing her to piece together the fragments of the puzzle. Furthermore, her position within the community, her respected standing as a doctor, gives her a platform to voice her concerns and potentially influence the course of events. The dynamic between Manpreet and the other characters adds another layer of complexity to the situation. Her relationship with Liam Kavanagh, her former partner, and her connection to other residents of the village could provide her with access to information and resources that could be detrimental to Aaron and John's efforts to conceal the truth. The coming episodes of Emmerdale promise to be filled with tension and suspense as the consequences of Aaron and John's actions begin to unfold. The looming presence of Manpreet, the potential witness to their clandestine activities, creates a palpable sense of dread. The carefully constructed world of lies and deception is on the verge of collapse, and the fate of Aaron and John hangs precariously in the balance. Will Manpreet become their nemesis, the one who exposes their dark secret, or will they manage to evade her scrutiny and maintain their facade of innocence? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The quiet village of Emmerdale is about to be rocked by the fallout of this tragic and desperate act. The ripple effects of Anthony's death and the subsequent cover-up will continue to reverberate through the lives of the residents, leaving a trail of broken trust and shattered illusions in their wake. The air in Emmerdale crackled with unspoken tension, a palpable unease that clung to the village like a damp fog. At the heart of this disquiet were Aaron Dingle and John Sugden, two men bound by a shared secret, a dark deed that threatened to shatter their lives. Their frantic attempts to bury the evidence of their involvement in Anthony Fox's death had created a suffocating atmosphere of fear and paranoia, a constant awareness of the precariousness of their situation. Every shadow seemed to conceal a potential witness, every whispered conversation a possible revelation. Aaron, his face etched with worry and exhaustion, wrestled with the weight of his actions. The initial rage that had driven him to confront Anthony, the primal instinct to protect his daughter, had given way to a gnawing guilt, a relentless torment that haunted his waking hours and invaded his dreams. He saw Anthony's face in every crowd, heard his voice in the rustling leaves, a constant reminder of the life he had taken. The crushing of the chassis, the final act of their desperate cover-up, was not just the disposal of physical evidence. It was a symbolic attempt to crush his own conscience, to silence the inner voice that screamed for justice. John, ever the pragmatist, tried to maintain a facade of calm, but beneath the surface, he was a maelstrom of anxiety. He understood the gravity of their situation, the potential consequences if their secret were exposed. He knew that their lives, their families, everything they held dear, hung by a thread. His decision to protect Aaron, to take on the burden of the cover-up, was driven by a deep loyalty, a bond forged in years of shared experiences and mutual respect. But this loyalty was now a source of constant dread, a heavy weight that pressed problems get worse. Emmerdale spoilers follow from Tuesday's episode, January 28, which is available to watch now on streaming service ITVX, but hasn't yet aired on ITV1. The following article contains discussion of sexual misconduct. Emmerdale has hinted that Manpreet Sharma could become a big problem for Aaron Dingle and John Sugden. Minpreet was disturbed by the couple's ongoing cover-up in Tuesday's episode as the aftermath of Anthony Fox's death continued. Aaron targeted Anthony with a brutal beating last week after discovering that he was a child abuser who'd preyed on his daughter Ruby when she was a teenager. The violent encounter took place at Caleb Milligan's depot, and Aaron fled from the scene afterwards. When Aaron and John returned, Anthony had passed away. John insisted on covering for Aaron by disposing of the body and dealing with the crime scene. To make it look like Anthony had left the village of his own accord, Aaron and John moved the villain's car to Kane Dingle's garage. They knew that the vehicle repair business would be closed for a few days, as Kane was focusing on family commitments. Aaron set to work on stripping down the vehicle and crushing the individual parts, needing to work quickly to avoid sparking any suspicion. Tuesday's episode saw Aaron update John after dark, confirming that he'd made positive progress. Aaron explained, "Just need to get the chassis crushed tonight and then we're done." John revealed that he'd been keeping a close eye on proceedings at Caleb's depot, and things seemed fine on that front too. He promised, "You get rid of that thing and we are spotless. Nothing to connect us to anything, home and dry." However, at that very moment, Minpreet appeared to have been disturbed by the noise going on outside. Minpreet was seen peeping from her bedroom window at Dale Head to see what was going on, although it was unclear whether she'd spotted Aaron and John or not. Scenes like these are rarely featured for no reason, so could Minpreet play a role in Aaron and John's story as it continues? The walls close in, Minpreet's gaze and the looming threat to Aaron and John. The idyllic facade of Emmerdale often conceals a simmering undercurrent of secrets and anxieties, and the recent events surrounding Anthony Fox's death have plunged Aaron Dingle and John Sugden into a maelstrom of fear and desperation. Their frantic attempts to cover up their involvement, driven by a potent mix of protective instinct and panicked decision-making, are beginning to unravel, with the unsettling presence of Minpreet Sharma adding a new layer of tension to their already precarious situation. The seemingly innocuous moment of Minpreet peering from her window could be a harbinger of doom, suggesting that their carefully constructed narrative is about to crumble under the weight of scrutiny. Aaron's violent confrontation with Anthony, fueled by the horrifying revelation of his abuse of Ruby, was a desperate act of a father's love turned to rage. The brutal beating, intended as a righteous act of vengeance, spiraled out of control, culminating in Anthony's death. This tragic outcome has forced Aaron and John into a desperate pact, a bond forged in the crucible of fear and shared guilt. John's decision to protect Aaron, to take on the burden of disposing of the body and orchestrating the cover-up, highlights the depth of their connection, but also underscores the perilous path they have chosen. Their strategy, while seemingly logical in the moment, is riddled with vulnerabilities. Moving Anthony's car to Kane's garage, a seemingly clever tactic to deflect suspicion, is a gamble that could easily backfire. The pressure of dismantling and destroying the vehicle, the constant fear of discovery, is a suffocating weight on Aaron's shoulders. Each passing moment is a race against time, a desperate scramble to erase all traces of their involvement before the truth inevitably surfaces. The scene with Aaron and John in Tuesday's episode, their hushed conversation in the dead of night, underscores the escalating tension. Their belief that they are home and dry is a fragile illusion, a desperate attempt to cling to a sense of control in a situation that is rapidly spiraling beyond their grasp. The crushing of the chassis, the final act of their macabre cleanup operation, is not just the disposal of physical evidence. It is an attempt to bury their guilt, to silence the nagging fear that their actions will be exposed. However, their carefully laid plans are threatened by the unexpected presence of Minpreet. Her appearance at the window, though seemingly brief and ambiguous, casts a long shadow over their carefully constructed facade. The ambiguity of the scene is precisely what makes it so unsettling. Did Minpreet see them? Did she hear anything? Or was her presence merely coincidental, an innocent observation of the night's quiet disturbances?